Kill them, Jesus. Hello, this is Caleb Jones, and this is the Alpha Male 2.0 podcast, and I am chilling out here as I record this podcast. This is my last few days in Paraguay before I leave. And as always, I record these podcasts several weeks before you hear them, so by the time you hear this, I will likely be in Guadalajara, Mexico. I was going to be in Panama. That changed, so now it is Guadalajara. Anyway, I do not have an agenda or a specific plan for this podcast. It's one of those off-the-cuff podcasts, so we'll see how this ends up. I do have a topic, but I have no outline as to how I'm going to discuss this topic because it is two topics mashed into one. They're both very similar, and that is a question I sometimes get from you guys, and that is, hey, Caleb, how does a spiritual life fit into Alpha Male 2.0? Or, hey, Caleb, I'm a Christian. How does that fit into Alpha 2.0? Or, Caleb, I'm a Muslim. How does that fit into Alpha 2.0? Or, Caleb, I'm a Buddhist. How does that fit into Alpha Male 2.0? Can you be spiritual and be Alpha 2.0? Can you be religious and be Alpha 2.0? So that, and then the other topic are my spiritual beliefs on a semi-regular basis. I don't get these questions often, but I do get them. I get guys who ask me what my spiritual beliefs are. So let's cover all of that today, shall we? Let's delve into some topics that I very rarely touch on. So first, my background in terms of religion, and I have written about this at my blog, so if you have followed my content for a long time, this should not be a surprise to you. My mom was a Catholic nun, literally, with the black and white habits, we used to call those. Those little black and white penguin outfits the nuns used to wear, she actually wore that. This is before she married my dad. We have pictures of her in her 20s wearing that goddamn thing. Speaking of goddamn thing, I have noticed on my more recent podcast that I am swearing a lot. And more than even I think is appropriate. So in this podcast, I'm going to do my best to be aware of how often I say the word fuck in particular and see if I can minimize the use of that word. You know what's really funny is that, I told you I didn't have an agenda here. What's really funny is that when I divorced my first wife, my kids informed me, because I don't talk to my ex-wife, the mother of my children, but my kids informed me that I was swearing more than she was. This is post-divorce. Now, what's really interesting is when we were married, she swore a lot more than me. I swore a normal amount, but she swore a lot. And what's really interesting is once we got a divorce, I alphaed up and started swearing more. And she calmed down because she was no longer an angry wife because she wasn't married to this guy she didn't like anymore. So she went from angry wife to depressed single mother, which is, when you're depressed, you're not angry. So I guess you don't swear as much. So it's really fascinating evolution of how people change when they change their relationship statuses. But anyway, let's see how much I swear in this podcast. I don't mind swearing, fuck, shit, cock, balls. I don't mind swearing, but I think I'm swearing a little too much. But we'll see how I do. Anyway, circling all the way back to the topic. So my mom was a Catholic nun. She was raised in a very traditional Catholic Sicilian family. I am half Sicilian and then quarter German, quarter British, more or less. Those aren't the exact percentages. Yes, I did 23andMe. I know the exact percentages, but I don't remember what they are. But so she was very traditional Catholic, obviously. She left the nunnery to marry my dad, which was a big event in her family because that was a big, horrible thing. Oh my God, you're not going to be a nun anymore and you're going to divorce the Lord Jesus and you're going to marry this man who smokes cigars. My dad used to smoke cigarettes and cigars. He smokes and he's been divorced by, my mom was my dad's second wife. Oh my God, he's been divorced. And it was a big scandal in my mom's family. And my parents were married for 47 years, so my mom's family got over it pretty quick. But I was, as many of you know, I was the first of 5 children in that family. My parents had 5 kids. My dad already had a son, my brother, who I wasn't raised with. And so my mom, going from being a nun right to being a mother, was very, very, very Catholic and very, very strict. And so me and my 2 sisters, my 2 little brothers didn't end up doing this, but me and my 2 sisters went off to Catholic school. So I attended a Catholic school. Let's see, not for preschool or kindergarten. My parents were too poor. So my parents lied, and my parents were poor. Again, you guys who know my history know this story. My parents were not poor, but had very little money. And they found that the Jewish community center was the cheapest place where you could go use their pool. So they lied and said they were Jewish. That's not very Catholic, Mom. But anyway, they lied and said they were Jewish when I was a little kid. And that's where I went to preschool. I went to a Jewish preschool, believe it or not. Then I went to a public kindergarten just for 1 year, and then they immediately had enough money to put me in a very cheap, rundown Catholic school. Well, Caleb, if they were poor, how were they able to do that? Well, this was back in the 70s. So back in the 70s, you could find these really, really cheap Catholic schools. And they had to scrape pennies to do this. I went there, then the child below me, my sister, and then my other sister went there just for a few years. But the two oldest kids, myself, the oldest, and one of my sisters, went there for 8 years. So from 1st grade to 8th grade, I went to a Catholic school, and we actually had religion class. We were forced to go to mass, that means church, every Friday for 8 fucking years. See, I just said fuck. I had to wear a uniform. We had to wear uniforms. Yes, I wore uniforms from 1st grade to 8th grade. Matter of fact, when I hit 6th or 7th grade, so if you're curious what the uniforms were, they were blue corduroy pants and a white shirt. That's it. That's all you could wear. If you were a girl, you wore a white shirt, button-down shirt, and plaid, like this blue and green plaid skirt. Oh my God. Bleh. So by the time I was in 7th grade or 6th grade, I don't remember, they added in, you could wear a red shirt and gray corduroy pants if you want to. That was a big event in our school. Ooh, now we can choose between 2 different outfits. So as you might imagine, I have read not the entire Bible, but about 60% of the Bible. I am very well versed in the Catholic faith. I am not Catholic, obviously. I'll get to that in a minute. I am very well versed in Christianity. I have stuff that was drilled into my head, like prayers and things like that. I can recite an entire rosary to you. I could do the Hail Mary. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sins, now at the hour of death. Amen. I have all these prayers in my head because they were drilled into my head when I was a child for 8 years. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. I could go on and on. I could literally recite all these prayers and these hymns and songs and Excelsis Deo, Gloria in Excelsis Deo. I can sing fucking, I said fucking again. At least I'm aware of it now. I can sing fucking Latin hymns from the Catholic faith because, again, this was drilled into my head. So even when I was a child and I was being taught this stuff in Christian class, or they called it religion class, something didn't smell right to me. And I've mentioned this on prior podcasts, how most of the kids in my class, when we were told, yes, Jesus walked on the water to go greet the apostles, 90 to 95% of those kids said, oh, okay. And there were 2 or 3 of us who said, wait, what? And I was one of those, wait, what? Kids. I was one of those kids. Wait a minute. So you're saying that Jesus went up on the mountain and waved his magical hand and beamed in bread and fish just out of thin air to feed the poor people like Star Trek? You're really? Where's the video evidence on that? Do we have any corroborating evidence other than this one book that's been edited hundreds, if not thousands of times over 2,000 years by various people with various agendas? Do we have any more evidence other than just this one book? No, Caleb, you have to have faith. I'm like, what? Okay, so right off the bat, something didn't smell right to me. And by the time I was in high school, certainly early 20s, I was very clearly not a Catholic and not a Christian. I wasn't an atheist. I didn't go that far. Actually, I was an atheist by the time I was in 7th grade. So what I remember, I do remember when I was in 7th grade, I was 13 years old, 12 years old. And I didn't believe in God. Now, I'm not an atheist anymore. I'll describe that in a second. But one of the class assignments were to draw a picture of what we thought God looked like. And so all these people were drawing a picture of a bearded man or like a ray of sunshine. And I didn't believe in God, so I drew a picture of an octopus. And so my teacher comes over, and God bless him, he's trying to put a positive spin on it. He's like, so you view God as kind of an amorphous creature that is like beyond the ken of man. Is that what you're saying with your art, Caleb? I said, no, it's an octopus. I got sent to the principal's office a lot. My mom regularly got the phone call. Yes, Miss Jones, your son was talking about how he doesn't believe in God again, and so we suggest you have a talk with him. This is what happens when you go to Catholic school. Get ready. Or if you send your kids to Catholic school, God forbid. Oh, Jesus. So anyway, yes, I was an atheist for a few years. But then, you know what, I got a little older. I said, changed my mind a little bit, and it took several years for me to formulate my own spiritual beliefs. I have studied Judaism. I have studied Taoism. I have studied Buddhism. I have studied Islam. I've studied a few of these things. What else have I studied? That's about it. I have not looked into Hinduism or any of those things. I probably should look into that. I don't really have a lot of time these days. But anyway, looked at several different religions. Very quickly concluded in my 20s that if there are something like, I forget the number, 4,200 religions on the planet Earth, most of them radically disagree with each other, then that is proof positive that none of them are accurate. Some of them may have bits and pieces that are accurate, but none of them are accurate. So I concluded that religion is bullshit. And it is. Religion is yet another form of false societal programming. As I discuss in The Unchained Man, alphamalebook.com, societal programming is false programming given to the masses, controlled by the elites to keep the masses more docile and controllable. Much of that is left-wing collectivism, but a lot of that is right-wing collectivism, and religion is one of the right-wing collectivism aspects. The Bible and most of these other holy books, all of these other holy books, frankly, that discuss specific events are the equivalent of Greek myths. These did not happen. And hopefully you understand that. Hopefully you have a level of rationality to understand that no, Jesus didn't actually walk on the water, and Jonah didn't actually spend 3 days in the belly of a whale. These things didn't actually happen. Okay. So then that's what I don't believe. What do I believe? Well, here's what I believe. Now, belief is not black or white. That's the first point of this podcast, is that there is knowing and there's believing, right? So knowing is you know it for sure. I know for sure 2 + 2 = 4. I know it for sure. I have 100% certainty on this. I believe that our universe was created. I believe it. Do I know it? No. I could be wrong. And this is what separates me from people who are hardcore atheists, who say there is no God. If you believe in God, you're an idiot. Well, how the fuck do you know, bro? And it's what separates me from people who have religions. Yes, there is a God. Yes, there is Jesus. And if you don't believe it, you're immature and you're an asshole. How do you know, bro? You don't know. So what I do is I take the rational, as always, the rational and objective approach. I don't know for sure, but here's what I believe. There is enough evidence to me when I look around and I study the universe that says to me that there was some intelligent design behind this. Either that was God, not the Judeo-Christian God, but God, the equivalent, or gods, or creators, or if this is a simulation, and simulation theory is something that I think is really possible, programmers or creators or a creator or something like that. That just makes sense to me. Do I know for sure? No. And as soon as I say this, whenever you say things like this on the internet, you get the hardcore atheists to say things like, the universe doesn't owe you an explanation that makes sense. I know all that. And the Ayn Rand argument, and I'm a big Ayn Rand fan, but the argument she made is, well, you look at the universe and it looks orderly to you, but how many other universes do you have as a basis for comparison? That's correct. I don't have any other universes as a basis for comparison. That's why I'm admitting I could be wrong. And part of being a rational human being and an objective human being is when you believe in spiritual things that you can't prove or disprove using science or your 5 senses, you have to say, I could be wrong. I might be wrong about this. I think this is true. This makes sense to me, but I could be wrong. So in terms of what I believe, this is what I believe. I could be wrong. So this is not a religion. I don't follow this like a religion, because a religion is I know for sure. And if you don't do this or this, you're going to hell because you're a dick. No, that's not belief. That's knowing, and that's psychotic, and that's societal programming. What I believe is that the universe was created, intelligent design, by God or gods or creator or creators. I have no idea who or what created it or why. I don't know. But the universe was created, and as a component of this universe, you have some kind of purpose to fulfill within this universe, this construct we see before us. Now, what about free will? Caleb, there's no such thing as free will. Free will doesn't exist. Okay, probably true. And I've discussed this on my blogs as well. Most likely on a cellular, microscopic, molecular level, no, free will as we understand it probably doesn't exist. Probably true. But you can choose within the construct, meaning within the limitations of whatever biological impulses you have, to follow what you were designed to do or avoid what you were designed to do. If you avoid what you were designed to do, you will feel pain. You will feel sadness, you will feel loneliness, you will feel discomfort, you will feel anger, you'll feel a bunch of negative emotions. If you instead choose to, and sometimes it's hard to do this, if you instead choose to lean into what you were designed to do, why you were here, you will experience happiness, excitement, joy, contentment, pleasure. So that's my belief structure. Could I be wrong? Yes, I could be wrong. That's possible. Simulation theory. That is the theory that this entire universe is a computer program, a highly advanced computer simulation, hologram, hard hologram, whatever you want to call it, that is basically designed by a programmer or programmers far beyond us. And this universe was created to solve some kind of problem or to entertain someone or someone's. I am 70% in that direction. I don't believe it yet because I think belief has to be like 80, 90%, not 70. So I'm not 100% there, but I'm 70% there. And the reason I'm 70% there, I've mentioned this in my blogs in the past, is that when I look at science, there's a lot of things that science cannot explain at all. Why on earth have we not heard any other signals from any other planets anywhere in the entire Milky Way or even in our visible sector of the Milky Way, when we know from statistics that it only takes several 100 million years to evolve to human beings or human-like creatures, and then 200 years after that to develop radio waves? If you do the math, the entire night sky should be blazing with radio signals from various worlds, including worlds that have long ago existed and died out thousands and thousands of years ago, yet the entire universe is silent. Doesn't make any sense to me, and it doesn't make a sense to a lot of scientists. Why is it that science has no idea what dark matter is? They have no fucking clue. The most intelligent scientists, astronomers, physicists on the earth cannot explain what that is. Why is it when you take an electron microscope and you zoom in on an atom and zoom in again and zoom in again and zoom in again electrons and zoom in again and zoom, all of a sudden the laws of the universe stop working? Literally, the laws of physics stop working if you keep zooming down. Why is that? They have no idea. Science has no answer. Atheists have no answer. People who have religions have no answer. You know what would be an answer? If this was a computer program. And I don't know if you've ever played a game like Skyrim or something where you do the cheat codes, or World of Warcraft, you do a cheat code and you walk off the edge of the world or the edge of the playable area. You're allowed to walk around, but all of a sudden shit stops making sense. Weird things start happening because the program was never designed for you to walk out there. Well, that would make perfect sense if this is a program. You zoom down to the below the electron level and suddenly things don't make any sense anymore. Yeah, we were never designed to go that low. Or it makes perfect sense that maybe we are the only aliens, the only intelligent life in the entire galaxy or in the entire universe, when that is statistically almost impossible. That is so statistically improbable, it's kind of ridiculous. But it would make sense if this is a simulation. So I'm 70% there because it makes sense to me, not because I think it's, not because I'm a believer in it or I'm Elon Musk or any of those people. I lean strongly in that direction because, unfortunately, and I don't like this is the case, but simulation theory is the only theory of the creation of the universe that I have ever heard from anyone, and that would be scientists, religious people, and atheists. All three of those groups that make kind of sense. Every other explanation I've got is, well, maybe this and maybe that, or it's just horseshit. Well, God created the earth in 7 days. That's just a myth. So that kind of ties into my spiritual beliefs. But that doesn't change my first set of spiritual beliefs, that you are probably designed for a reason. You exist for a reason other than to just, have 2.5 kids and get married and vote for Republicans, which is what right-wingers think. Or you exist for a reason bigger than saving the world, saving the environment, which is what a left-winger thinks. I think you're here for a very specific reason, every person. And I think it's your job to find out what that reason is. That's why I talk about things like mission and what it is you want to do with your life. And when you lean into those things, you'll feel really good. And when you lean away from those things, you'll feel bad. And so whether or not this is a simulation, that applies. At least that is my belief, and I could be totally wrong. That's something you'll never hear from a hardcore atheist, something you'll never hear from a hardcore Christian or Muslim or Buddhist or what have you. Now, let's switch over and talk about how religion and or spirituality fits within the Alpha Male 2.0 framework and the Alpha Male 2.0 lifestyle. Can you be religious and be an Alpha Male 2.0? The answer is, it depends on whether or not your religion makes you happy. Because Alpha Male 2.0 is about long-term consistent happiness. And I've mentioned this before. I know a lot of Christians. A lot. Even though I was raised in a very left-wing area, Portland, Oregon, I still know a lot of Christians from my upbringing, my family, and just various other Republican and religious type guys I know. My wife's father-in-law is a very strong Christian, so I know lots of Christians. I can divide Christians into two categories. Christians who are very, very angry, and their Christianity makes them very angry and frown at the world and constantly pissed off all the time because they live in a collapsing left-wing society called the United States or Canada or Europe. So I know those kinds of Christians, and there's a lot of those Christians, and there's a lot of those Christians on the internet. All right? A second category of Christians, which is a smaller category, are people who became Christians and it made them happier. They are happy, fun, enjoyable, pleasant people because they're Christian. And their Christianity has enhanced their happiness. So if you're in that second category, if you have a religion that enhances your happiness, yes, you can be Alpha Male 2.0 and have that religion. The only snag there is if you do things like, well, I can't have multiple MLTRs because my religion says I shouldn't do this, which is actually not really true in the Christian faith. It doesn't anywhere say that you have to be monogamous. Matter of fact, the Old Testament in the Bible is loaded with dudes who had multiple wives, multiple concubines, and things like that. Polygamy was very common in the Bible. I shouldn't have to tell you that if you are a Christian. So barring that, yes, you can be religious and be an Alpha Male 2.0 as long as your religion makes you happy. If your religion makes you angry and pissed off, and you see people and they're not following the will of Jesus, the will of God, that makes you angry, or you see Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton and that makes you mad because this is not the Christian way and we've moved away from God and that's what makes me so angry, I'm such an angry Republican, then no. You can't have that and be an Alpha Male 2.0 because that doesn't make you happy. And the point of Alpha Male 2.0, the entire point, is long-term consistent happiness. And again, based on my experience, and to be fair, this is anecdotal experience, but I have a lot of this anecdotal experience. Most people who hardcore embrace a religion, hardcore embrace it, not these typical Americans who self-identify as Christians, but they've never been to church in 6 years and they're not doing anything Christian all day. Oh, yeah, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. Oh, yeah. They've never read the Bible. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about hardcore Christians, hardcore Muslims, hardcore Buddhists, hardcore religious Jews. When you're hardcore into a religion, usually in my purely anecdotal experience, that tends to make people more pissy and touchy and angry than it does make them happy. But I have seen, and I do personally know, Christians or hardcore Christians who are very happy, and it's because they're Christians. It actually made them more happy. I've seen some of those people. So just be aware of that. Okay, now let's switch gears slightly and let's talk about spirituality, which is not religion. I do not have a religion because religion is false societal programming. I don't do that. But I do have spiritual beliefs. I didn't give you all my spiritual beliefs in this podcast. I just kind of gave you the basic ones. I have more than this. Maybe we'll do another podcast on that if you guys really find that interesting. But can you have spiritual beliefs and be Alpha Male 2.0? Sure. Again, as long as these spiritual beliefs don't impede your happiness. And generally speaking, in my experience, spiritual beliefs generally don't do that. Usually it's religion that impedes happiness for most men. Now, I'm going to give you one caveat to this that's important, and this applies to spirituality and religion. As I've talked about, I talk about the SLA, the 7 life areas: your financial life, your woman life, your social life, your physical life, etc., so forth and so on. One of those is your spiritual life. That includes your spiritual beliefs and includes your religion if you have one. In my very strong opinion, you should not spend a lot of time focusing on your spiritual life if you are under the age of 50. That is my opinion. And by the way, that applies to me. I'm 49. So in my opinion, under my model, and as always, I walk my talk, I do everything I tell you guys to do, I don't spend a lot of time in my spiritual life because I think I'm too young. I think if you're 40s, you are too young to really delve deep into your spiritual life. When I see guys in their 20s and 30s really delve into their spiritual lives, or really delve into their religion, or even delve into spiritual stuff like, meditation and om, and being one with the universe, and hey man, let's go to Tibet. When I see that kind of shit, I usually see men do it wrong. And I usually see men get led astray, and I usually see men create problems in their lives and or get pissed off because they become religious. So if you are under the age of 50 and you're spending a decent amount of time in your life focusing on your religion or on your spiritual beliefs, I think you're making a very big error. I think you are too young and you don't have enough wisdom or life experience to delve into that part of life. And again, I'm talking to myself when I say this. I'm in that category too. If you're under 50, I'm under 50 technically. I'm 49 and a half. So I am too young. I don't have enough wisdom to talk about or really get into detail with in terms of my life, my own spirituality. Do I have spiritual beliefs? Yes, I do. Do I spend a lot of time in my spiritual life? No, I don't. Nor do I think that would be a good idea. Now, if you're over 50, if you're well into your 50s, certainly if you're 60s or 70s, 80s, that is a great time to really get into your spiritual life. I have seen my dad really get into that after he retired into his 60s and 70s. He's really explored that and he really enjoyed it, and he's explored it with other men his age. Great stuff. I've seen other older men kind of get into this. I think it's great. When you're an older guy and you have some real wisdom, not experience, wisdom, which is different than experience. I have a lot of experience and I have some wisdom, but I need more wisdom if I want to get into my spiritual life. So I am not going to spend any time in my spiritual life now or any time in the near future. Now down the road, yes, when my mission clicks into its next phase, when I'm about 53, 54 years old, yes, I'm going to get more into my spiritual life at that time. At that time. Right now, no, and I haven't prior to this because I think it's a mistake. So if you're under the age of 50 and you're really going crazy with your religious stuff, you're making a big, big life mistake. You need to focus on the things that I've told you to focus on, the two wheels of your motorcycle, which is your financial life and your woman life. And if your mom doesn't like that because you're not going to mass or church or mosque or synagogue or whatever the fuck, that is your mom's fucking problem. And I'm glad I said fucking there because that is her fucking problem. And I've discussed that ad infinitum in my other content. Your life belongs to you, does not belong to your parents, does not belong to your family, does not belong to your wife or your girlfriend, belongs to you. Does not belong to your religion, does not belong to your church. It belongs to you. If you want to focus on your religion or your spiritual life, please wait till you're over 50. And frankly, in my opinion, the more over 50 you can do it, the better. That doesn't mean at 50 you just, become a born-again Christian as soon as you have your 50th birthday. Wait till your 60s, man. You got plenty of time. Plus, as I've talked about before, your life expectancy, our life expectancy is going to be much longer than you think. You got plenty of time. There's no rush on this stuff. And that is above and beyond anything I've talked about in this podcast in terms of religion or spirituality being Alpha 2.0 compatible or not. That's just a separate set of parameters, this over 50 thing. And that's it. How did I do? I think I did pretty well. I didn't swear too much. I said fuck a few times, but I like saying fuck a few times. That's good. My podcast seemed pretty structured, even though I had no structure. That's not bad. I have no idea if this topic will resonate with you guys. If this is a topic you want me to discuss more of, I certainly will do that because I do get questions about this from time to time. I realize I don't really discuss this. This is outside of my bailiwick, and it's kind of the point because I'm under 50. But that's it for now. Have fun. Bye.